harsh realities of inner city street life can overshadow the existence of a loving God. But look a little closer, and you'll find him alive in the faith of ordinary people who are transforming Hillbrow with hope, one building, one street, one life at a time.
Jaywalking in the J section, I show my intention to be crossing the street. Jail is a reality for the street that never sleeps. Its inhabitants loiter in the streets. Hail to the criminals and the drug laws. Nay to the victims of pocketing the streets. I pray to the Lord not to be sucked into this negative perception of the street. I am angry at those that disregard the law with us. I am angry at the criminals that steal from us. I am angry at the protectors that place the fear in us. But most of all, I am angry at those that associate Hillbrow with all its negative. A battery has a negative and a positive terminals. Magnets have a negative and a positive poles. I ask, where is the positiveness about the JSEC? Look around you and you will see that's amazing. A poem inspired by 90 million miles of provided lights. Mandla Mahlangu is sort of, as they say, respectable person, humble, down to earth and giving. I was born in 1977 on the 22nd of February. I think my mom was around then, said that she was not fit enough to look after me. She was these groovy types, going partying there. Then I live with a bit of a family, half family, but with other people's family. Then at the end I just lived with this Setswana family. Then eventually they came to a stage where they couldn't look after me anymore. Then I moved. I headed for the big city. One of my first times when I realized that I was homeless, probably my third day or so, was where I had to walk late in the night, through the township, through dark streets, being scared, dogs are barking, just to be in a place where I'm isolated and by myself, and sleeping covered in a plastic. That's when I realized, you know what, now I'm homeless. But then it was rough, especially in the night. In the day and night, we were running away from thugs and also cops, because they will arrest us. Then they will take us to the police station, then take you out in the morning after a few lashes. Hillbrow for me was little America, little New York, It was vibey, it was vibrant, Hillbrow was just another little haven, I would call it, an oasis, in this concrete jungle. That's what Hillbrow was for me back then. But as years went by, Hillbrow became darker and darker for me. The cloud became bigger and bigger over Hillbrow.
It's often here in Hillbrow where people are swallowed. They are literally swallowed in the belly of the beast through what's happening around, through crime, prostitution, all the negative things you can think about, drugs, unemployment, poverty, and that is influences that swallows people's well-being.
When I first came here to Hillbrow here in 2005, the crime and the grime that was here, that was surrounding this area, it was so terrible. You would get marked during the day, 4 o'clock in the evening when everybody was coming from work, and nobody would do anything about it.
Even like now, I know some of the people that I grew up with, they will tell you the system failed me. Being a criminal, it was a status, it was a state of mind, I would put it, for you to rob, for you to be in jail. And people knew, when I'm in jail, I get 2 meals a day, I get a nice bed, I can actually watch a big screen TV. Hey, man, it's better than that, because at least in jail, I can get this and get that and get that. Yeah, sometimes I can starve for a day. Yeah, I know, I eat twice a day. I can use a cell phone and what, so it's best in there. There are people who come out of jail today, tomorrow, they are back.
I know many people associate Hillbrow with some bad stuff and everything, but you find that 99% of the people who stay here, they are normal people who are coming to Joburg looking for better opportunities. That's what Hillbrow is for me. It's a community.
As people entered these communities, those at the bottom of the economic ladder soon discovered that good accommodation was out of their reach.
If the people who get somewhere, a home that is safe, secure, affordable and private, if they get it based only on those who can pay on the current model, they won't be safe in their homes. Now, this is not only a South African problem, it's a worldwide problem. 22 cities were filmed recently as cities being subjected to abnormal levels of crime. It's not crime. It's crime that is born from when human beings don't live in good ways, in good relationships. It should be the national endeavor that as many people as possible, that all the economic resources should be focused on city building, on placemaking for as many people as possible in our new South Africa. For people who absolutely normally, men, work seekers, some women, come to the city and find work in the day as security, car guards, washers, selling food on building sites, whatever it is. These are not vagrants. These are people needing a place to stay in the city.
This burgeoning demand for affordable accommodation led to a downward spiral of abuse and neglect, and an inner-city housing crisis that needed some innovative answers.
The more I read, the more I see that in times in history there have been Christians who have become reformers, who have not only read the scriptures and said, okay, I have my personal salvation sorted out. They realize that they actually need to transform the environment in which they live. You know, you get guys like Martin Luther, who, I mean, he did major transformation where he opened the scriptures up to the layman. Or William Wilberforce from the 1830s. He just believed, he was a strong Christian who said slavery is wrong, and he dedicated his life to getting slavery abolished. There was another gentleman by the name of Henry Lanant, who in the 1860s, he was walking past a battle between Austria and the French. You know, in those days they used to pretty much line up and shoot each other. And he noticed people just lying injured, and there was no plan. Cut a long story short, he started the Red Cross and the Geneva Convention, because he knew that this was wrong, it was unrighteous. And in a time like this where the economy is falling apart, where politics is a joke, I think it's time that Christians stood up and said, you know, God has given us answers and solutions. They're there. We should be able to come up with solutions to modern day problems. You know, the Bible wasn't written for 5,000 years ago, it's also written for today.
Mandla's story is not unique. Poverty and broken families leave many youngsters displaced, and the search for shelter, food, and a sense of belonging is often only found on the streets.
I stayed with my peeps, and then from time to time, let's say for this year, I will stay with this family members. I'll go stay with my granny, another granny. I'll go stay with my granny's sister, probably my kishini. So I move from place to place, and every time I move from place to place, from one house to another house, the rules are different. In them, I think they should have actually, like Bank Fundis had taught me, like, hey, because I don't think I actually had that time to sit with some manangbonis, understand? You know, everyone had their own thing. So I also ended up living in my own world. Yeah, what I know about my father is that he's still alive, and I've happened to meet him. And at that time when I actually met him was when I was staying in Durban, because I'll come this side for school holidays. So there's this particular granny I used to like visiting, and then she somehow actually told me that, you know what, certain person is actually your father. Well, I normally meet him when I go to Davidson. I actually take time, go to Eswaz, it's a section, get to bump into him. It's either he's not at home, most of the time he's not at home, but sometimes I'll bump into him, meet him, just talk, then that's it. And it's, I wouldn't say the relationship was strong, or like dad to a son. I mean, at this stage, you know, for me to say, okay, if you say that's my father, I'm like, oh, okay, fine, that's it. I treat him like not an ordinary person. There isn't that big clique or saying, hey, kill it time, I must look up to him, things like that, yeah. I wouldn't really be angry at him. I could actually be angry at my mom, because she could have taken the decency of telling me who's my father than to keep it to herself. Because there was a time where I asked her, like, you know, who's my dad? Whoa, hell broke loose. Also him, I can say, is, I will be angry at him because he made me, he knew where I stayed. He will meet with my I think my aunties, my granny's people, they knew them. And I don't think they actually, he lived far away from where my aunties stayed, probably 3 blocks of streets, you know, and that's it. So I could be angry, actually be angry at both of them. What happened between them, it's none of my business. But actually, I was actually their responsibility, you understand? If, for example, if he raped her for me to be here, I didn't ask to be here, but I mean, at least they could have played that kind of a bit of a role to say, no, you know what, that's your dad. This and this happened between us, that's it. I mean, I have a right. So eventually I came to a point where I decided, you know what, that's it. I'm just gonna hit the road. And by then I was already what I can call it street smart. How I started actually to really stay on the street was I went on the way back from town. It was late, taxis were finished, and then we normally take a train, Umangobe. And I think we missed the last train. Then I said, okay, it's fine. And then I slept with some boys. And then eventually I knew, okay, if it's late, I know where to sleep. And then it just hooked like that. You said, okay, you know what? I'm going to live on the street.
Johannesburg is an economic hub. Back in the 1800s, people were coming to Johannesburg. So people have been coming to Johannesburg for many, many, many years. So being an economic hub, not only of South Africa, but of the whole continent, it's a gateway. So people come here for opportunities. But some people who come from the township, as close as Soweto, come here because maybe at home there's a problem. Incidences where people have said, I've left home because I couldn't take the hardships, I couldn't take the abuse, so I came to the street. But in the main, people came or come to Joburg for opportunities. And unfortunately, there isn't space for them to sleep, and then they end up on the street.
Ngifike lapha ngokuhlupheka ngizofuna umsebenzi oba ndipheke. Ngafumana ukuthi ndiphekele abantu otaxi driver namaphoyisa. Bangisupporta ke still kwaze kwalana. Ngifike la kukubilana eHebrew ngoba beningayijwayelanga. Kodwa ke umngane wami wangichazisela ukuthi hayi mama hambe uyozama xa uphele umsebenzi e-restaurant before. iHebrew vele bingekho right uqala. Be corrupt. Kodwa ke ndaze ndajwayela ngoba injongo zami kuba ngilambile siswini. Ihebi safana kodwa ke shame ndenze umuntu ngoba mina ngize na right vele manje abantu labami bafundile ngayo le caravan.
Just like Teresa, Gift Dama saw Johannesburg as a city of opportunity, a place where he could make a living. Although he now works as a building manager, his early days here were tough.
I was born in Venda at the location called Chisaulu. I had to come to Johannesburg because of I wanted to do further education training. So I was hoping that after my matric I will obtain bursary. So now I went to CJC to just improve my maths and science, having a hope to obtain the bursary. And then this is how I ended up being in Hillbrow. At first, my mom used to send me money because that time I was studying. But the time I couldn't obtain the bursary, then she said, because we cannot afford for your school fees, then you have to look for a job. And then to tell you the truth, at first it was difficult. So my friends used to support me, like he would give me money for food. So it was very tough. I think